And welcome back on my channel. So we're back in the studio, and in this video I will do just quick recap, basically breakdown of the track that I created last time. That was a long track over 8 minutes when I went on a motorbike camping trip. I called it Sheepyard because there was a lot of sheep basically on the video and everywhere around. So on this video I will just quickly introduce what I did, because I used only like three synth track, basically one drum track and 2 synth tracks plus maybe few samples, only to create 8 minutes video with some variations and things that you can do on Polyend Tracker Plus. So I will do also comparison between Polyend Tracker Plus and Verslab NV1 as a workflow goes, because it is different. I was working on 2D video to make soundtrack 2D video. I started on Polyend Tracker Mini while I was camping, just basic, some drum sequence and building up idea, and then I transferred entire project into Polyend Tracker Plus because they are fully compatible, and I went from there with use of Roland SH-4d as well, only few samples but impactful. So let's go straight maybe to my track. So one difference between Polyend Tracker Plus and Verslab is that you can make way longer tracks on Verslab as a songs. For example, I have a lot of it here, as you see, 31 patterns basically looped together, chained together, where on Verslab you can have only 16 for one project. So Verslab is only for making songs, for making like songs, adding vocals, for also like commercial use and everything else. On this one I can use it for like long ambient sounds, for cinematic sounds and everything else. That's one advantage between Tracker Plus and Verslab. Another thing is that I have like 8 tracks for samples, and samples I can use also with granular mode and wavetable. I can use sample to create wavetable out of it, so it's basically synthesizer as well, digital. And 8 MIDI tracks in addition. So for example, let's go to pattern 6. That's how I will do it. This section, loop it. So you can hear drum track. I hope that you can see it clearly, that I adjusted focus correctly. Another great thing is that I can preview, for example, section, and that's how it sounds. For example, I can just copy and paste it to like blank. It's super intuitive, super fast in operation. But that's my drum track. Yes, let's go to the top. I added some swing. That kick sounds great. That snare. That's all on drum engine, and you can have up to 5 sounds at the same time just from drum engine. But if you use it, like for example kick and snare on one step, you will have to transfer it to another track basically. But from one engine you can use up to 5, plus 6 voice poly on synthesizers to share, basically to share sounds. So I have another fat. That's sound 3, synth 3, fat. But if you notice, I moved them all to MIDI tracks, because I can use them on MIDI tracks instead of like sample tracks, just to make clear space for sample tracks. So I could sample something like from SH-4d. I sampled make few samples. That's only what I used for this track basically. Juno Oscillator 7th, that's a chord. So if you see a sample playback, and you can hear it in at some point in the track. Another one, Oscillator 7th 2. That's the variation later on. Another will be, sorry, instrument. That was Wave Strike 1. That was from Wavetable. Also from all samples from SH-4d. So I didn't use much for 8-minute tracks. Glowpad. Oh, and this one. I just chopped, so I can use it, so I can play it like. Basically chopped sample. Took equal measures. For measures, that was another sample. Just changed the playback type so I could make variations out of it. And this one, it wasn't granular actually. I was just playing with it. That's a one shot. That's a four bars sequence melody basically with LFO and everything else, also on SH-4d, but in this case, and I renamed it accordingly as well, like bass in was here. That was a different bass, and I will show you in a second as well how I changed it. That's a sheep. LFO1, that will be it. I basically use modulation, LFO modulation, to change just that bass, and that's sequence 30. As you see from song track, automatically transfer me to pattern that I'm working on, and that's sync so. This one, only this section with G4, G1, G3, volume 65, because when I applied that LFO effect, it just lowered on volume because it worked on envelope, affected envelope. But G4, for example, that's a volume LFO. And panic LFO, filter LFO. So I worked with volume LFO with different frequencies. I can use it for 12, for example. Can hear it. So I could automate it, I could do whatever I wanted. It sounds good. That just for one sample that I edited, because normally it sounded like on track, it sounded like this. And and that was edited part. Another thing is bass. I changed bass, for example. Let's play solo bass. Bass was synth 2. Oh, I can't solo it, I think. I will have to mute everything else. Can I solo synthesizer? It looks like I can't. Learning every day. So, okay, so let's just lower volume. Or different way. Just to, I don't want to mess up my sequence. That was bass in on 13, for example. And let's go to 6. So that's my bass, which is here. And I just play it. Preview it. Longer decay, longer everything else. So let's go back to bass in and let me know. That was a 30. I think so, yes. Sounds could be 30, but this one was clearer. 13. Same bass sounds basically. Let's go to 13, yes. 13. And what I applied, that D, I'm not actually sure if it was this one, D. Yes, that's a macro 4, and the macro 4 on this sound, which is my bass, if you take a look at macros, that's a filter. And edit patch. So for that's my bass, and let's go to macro 4, filter cutoff, and I can change it to anything else. So when I'm working with macros, also filter cutoff 1, parameter 2, filter resonance -50, and so when I'm working on my macro, as you see, it works with resonance as well. I could just use it as a filter by itself. That's a minus resonance. Open filter with 0 resonance. And that's closing filter with more resonance. And that just on one macro, because I can use many other parameters like filter and envelope, amount, and here this one is unassigned, so I can just for this one I can assign whatever I want, like submix maybe, and another, third, fourth, fifth. I can use a lot of parameters just to control like one knob, virtual knob basically, yes. And I can automate it. So let's, just for the sake of it, for experimentation, we'll fill it each randomly, density maybe 30%. Here we go to macros, the same, that will be D, constant and random. From that was 59, so let's go from 30 to 68, and just to see from curiosity, we will see how it sounds. Like 50% was altered already. Won't be able to hear it too clearly. No, that's a bad example. Again. You can hear it now. Yeah. It depends how it hits the note, but I could use it instead. Let's delete this one and go to the top, fill with note. And here we go random from 0 to. Can obviously tweak it and do whatever I want, but that was applied macro 59 for filter, so it didn't sound that open. It was a little bit different. Another thing, I worked on synth, so yeah, that's a good video. I'm just explaining what you can do basically based on one track, what I changed. That's a JU transition on this one. Because as you see, fat here, that's a bass, that's a fat, and I made a lot of transitions, different drum rolls and everything else. Entire track entirely changed from start to finish. I know not many people watched it because yeah, there was not much interest in this video for obvious reasons. People usually like to see like working with the gear, yeah. Which I'm curious, because I see a lot of channels that people are just sitting and talking about gear and not playing music at all, not making music, just basically talking. Okay, so let's go to, see, that's my sequence preview, just one note. Let's go to fat. It's modulated as well. So enveloped is applied and everything else. And this here we have chord, so we can use all of those synthesizers. See, I have polyphony set to 4 because I want to use three notes chords. In addition, that's the same synth, separate notes, like on other hand, basically like playing two hands on keyboard. And this is chord. So you don't have to use external MIDI to create chords, and also arpeggios works the same way, which is brilliant. That's the arpeggio, that's the end of arpeggio basically. So it could be chord, like this one. That's 0 to 7, so it's minor chord. Because you have root, second and seventh. Basically, if it was 4, that's even lower. Yeah, minor would be 3 and 7. 4 and 7 you have major chord, standard major chord, like C Ionian. Yeah, so I made just chord progressions with some arpeggio at the end. And for example, on other track, let's go closer to the end somewhere here. Here there's no track at all. It's working basically mostly on samples. Drum sequence is completely different. Bass sequence is completely different. And cool thing about it is, for example, if I'm working with drums, I have my drum kit. At first, I was a little bit confused why every second note, if it's in chromatic, every second note, it's a drum sound assigned for it. But it makes sense when you start using scales, because you have like full note, half note, full note, half note, whatever, with sharps, and on scales it always falls differently. Yes, some scales have sharps, some other scales don't, and you always have options to hit the right drum or percussive sound, sorry, edit pattern. So we can go to macros, for example, here as well, and we have movement macro name, not with percussion type. So we can change entire percussion type just by tweaking macro. Bipolar, that means that it can go plus and minus, and when it's off, it means only that it's from 0 to 127. So parameters, percussion model, for example, 2, but we can change cymbal parameter to unassigned. Let's change it a little bit to kick pitch, kick body, body decay, modulation, body wave. So we can change tonality of all of those sounds from drum set just by changing, assigning it to one macro stripe, basically. Mixer, hi-hat level, we can change mixer, we can change FX, wave shaper level, for example, and amount. And let's go to macro now. That's macro 1. And you can hear it already. Sometimes it's very settled, that depends of what you're changing. Movement, kick body decay, experiment, kick body wave, that's timbre. Oh, let's go with my macro 4. And I can use it, for example, in one pattern, I will use standard like this one. And in another pattern, I want to make transition and I'm going with some spring or laser sound. And the best part of it is, and you can assign it for separate drum sounds. So it's really powerful because you have timbre, that's just the name of it. Bipolar, obviously on or off, hi-hat timbre, kick body wave, and that's just for a timbre, changing entire kit according to macro, but in different ways, subtle ways. So you can program your entire drum kit and save it as yours with all of macros. Super powerful. So that's another one. The thing is, there's no performance mode options to change synths. But for what it can do is already pretty damn good. So maybe one more thing I can show. Araf, that means slow in Welsh. So another difference between, for example, in workflow with Polyend Tracker Plus and Polyend Tracker, and Roland Verslap NV1 is when I'm working on like lengthy video and I want to add just one sound to at some point, and like for example 1 minute 49 seconds. Here I would have to like calculate it BPM or just listen along and find the right place when I can add step, for example, on pattern 23. And I would have to add some more steps so it would align with the video. In Polyend Tracker Plus, I would have to calculate it and it's more daunting than, for example, on Verslap NV1, because on Verslap NV1, when I have ready track and I just want to add some I don't know, some one chord or some piano or string, just at some point in a song, I'm recording it on a vocal track basically, and it's time based. I can nudge it wherever I want. Yeah, that's the huge difference, and that's what I miss in Tracker Plus, because that was great feature. If you know how to use your gear, you will get far. You don't need just most expensive and that can do everything, because people have a DAW and they still doing the same redundant trap tracks, for example, trap beats, bragging about making 4 beats in a day and all sounds the same. Yeah, don't want to go on a rant, but it is what it is. Okay, so intro, bass, intro, okay. So maybe I will change just tonality of that's already changed my a little bit more spongy, like it. I could save it actually, but no. That will be for different version of this song. So for example, EQ, we have EQ. If we set it to when it's off, we have just normal equalizer with settings. For example, FX equal low 80 Hertz, -2, and it's all applied gradually. But no, with filter. With filter, if we want to use, that will be in a cent. If we want to use like a band pass filter, we set it to bipolar, and it's bipolar by default, and it just nudge itself plus or minus. So it's already band pass filter, and you can swipe it through frequencies. Sounds terrible. Let's go with macros. Resonance. That's separate. Let's clear it out again. So you need to be aware as well when you using synth, which is or samples, and you want to use it as polyphony. It will transfer to other tracks, but you can also render it whenever you want. Like for example, this one. That's very short. Never mind, I want to render it. Render section 1, render and load. Preview. That's just completely new sample. People who that's my new sample. So normalize it, select effect, normalize it. Didn't do much. Forward, backward, let's go ping pong loop. And it loop end. Loop start. The green line show you 0 point. So if you zoom it, it will be on flat line instead of, like for example, here, when it's catching on a waveform that could create click if you try to loop it. Not always you can hear it, but that's how it works. That was in one of the updates on OG Tracker. Let's go to track. Oh, no, what I'm doing. Just for experimentation, I won't save it anyway. I could use it in granular, whatever. I can play with it forever. But that will be it for this video. I just want to do like a quick breakdown, just showed few bits. I know it wasn't very informative, just me more talking and just playing around with what I did here. There was another fine section with, I don't remember which one was it. That was, I think, 9. Or 8. Yeah, when you can hear it, it's bass track and drums are completely different as well. Already changed a few times. Okay, that will be it for this video. I don't want to extend it too long. Yeah, next will be probably still with Polyend Tracker Plus, but I will focus mostly on just synth engines and few tricks that you can do here. Or maybe I will jump just for variations to Roland SH-4d, because I have some issues with it, with the workflow. Is not the best organized, not most intuitive, but it sounds great. So for now I'm just creating sequence on SH-4d and sampling it to Polyend Tracker Plus. That's another great thing about Tracker Plus, that you can sample a lot, and I'm just sequencing it here. So yeah, that will be it for this video. Hope you like it, and see you next time.